What's up, everybody? It's What Jim. Let's go ahead and do the movie review for Thor: Love and Thunder. This will also contain no spoilers, so please don't leave any spoilers in the comment section below. But if you do, just say spoiler warning so people know that there are spoilers for that comment. We'll go ahead and talk about the good for this film, then the bad, and then the verdict. What I'll rate this film out of 10. But before we go through those things, let's talk about the plot for this film. The plot for Thor: Love and Thunder is Thor embarks on a journey, unlike anything else he's ever faced before, a quest for inner peace. However, his retirement doesn't really go according to plan because of Gore the God Butcher, who seeks to destroy all living gods. One thing I want to mention before I want to talk about the good, which is this is the fourth Thor movie. The previous ones were Thor the Dark World, and Thor Ragnarok. So this is the fourth outing, and we'll go ahead and talk about the characters to start off with for the good. So we'll start off with the heroes side of things for the characters first, and I think most of them are done very, very well in my opinion. The standouts on the hero side for me is Chris Hemsworth as Thor. He's really, really great at this role, and I think he did a really, really great performance in this film as well. And you've also got Natalie Portman playing the mighty Thor, and Jane Foster again. It was great. It was great to see that character again because, and I feel like this is the best use of that character. And I feel that all the other times we saw her, I feel like she had potential to be a really good character, but unfortunately she wasn't, in my opinion. But in this one, I thought she was a very, very good character and a really important to her relationship with Thor in this film. It was also great to see King Valkyrie and Korg again. Korg is a scene stealer, as he normally is in these films, but I would have liked to have seen more Meek, which is one of Korg's best pals, and also the Guardians of the Galaxy are in this film as well, and it was a pleasant surprise to go ahead and see them in this film. But when I'll go ahead and talk about the villain side of the characters and the biggest standout for me, and there's only really, I would say, maybe one villain, and that is Gore the God Butcher. I guess there is another villain in it, but I would go ahead and spoil who that is, as that character doesn't appear in the trailers. But Gore the God Butcher, played by Christian Bale, I think he does a really, really good job. I would have liked to have spent more time with this villain, as I think it is one of the stronger villains of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. He was just really, really menacing, really dark and creepy, and it was just a really, really just scary performance to see. And I think Christian Bale did an excellent job as Gore the God Butcher. I just wish we got more of that character. But when I talk about the relationships, I talked about, Thor and Jane Foster's relationship. This is the best it's been here. It's just done really, really well, and I really bought into the relationship. Unfortunately, it didn't with all the other films, but this one I definitely did. I also thought that this film was enjoyable and fun for most of it. And in terms of the humour, I thought it was good for most of it, but there's a lot of jokes in this film, and in my opinion, I would say maybe at most half of them landed for me, but there were definitely quite a lot of jokes that didn't land, unfortunately. But we'll talk more about that when we get to the bad for this film. But I want to also touch upon the music. I think the music is very, very good in this film. It's not great, and we'll go ahead and talk more about that in the bad, but I think for the most part, the music's pretty solid in this film. There were also a couple of scenes that did get to me emotionally, especially towards the end of this film. And I also thought that the action was just done very, very well here. I enjoyed pretty much all the action sequences in this film that were just really, really just enjoyable, and it was just really, really fun to go ahead and see those action sequences. But also the story, I thought, wasn't anything too special. I thought the story was okay, in my opinion. I also thought that the way that I felt like this film did end in quite a satisfying conclusion, even though I have got quite a few negatives with this film. And for the CGI and the visuals, I thought it was great for most of it. Some of it I feel like could have been done better, but I thought for most of it, it was done very, very well. But that's really what we're going to say for the good, and now we'll go ahead and talk about the bad for this film. So I've got quite a few things to say here, which is the issues with the tone for the film. The tone just up and down, really. I feel like there's probably enough here to have done a couple of films, maybe have one of them about Thor and Jane Foster, and having one of them being about Gore the God Butcher. And I just feel like Gore the God Butcher, he is not a funny character. He's really dark and disturbing. He's got a really, really sad and dark backstory. It doesn't really go well the fact that this film has got a joke pretty much every single minute of this film. And I feel like, therefore, because there's too many jokes, I just felt like Gore was just undeveloped, and I feel like he should have been in a different Thor movie, not in this Thor film. I also think that the writing could have been improved in this film. I think the writing is a pretty mixed bag, in my opinion. And I also thought there's just too much humour and a lot that doesn't land. And I think the reason why I feel like there's a lot of humour in this one is because the director of this film, Taika Waititi, maybe because he directed Thor Ragnarok, and a lot of people loved that one. One of the reasons was because of its humour. So maybe he thought, let's go ahead and add even more jokes to this film, because that's the main reason why people love Thor Ragnarok. But I didn't feel like they needed any more jokes. There was just the right amount in Thor Ragnarok. Maybe at times maybe too much, but this is just far too much jokes in my opinion. And there's even this annoying long running joke in the film, which I didn't even find it that funny the first time. I know quite a few people that have said that they did find it quite funny the first time. I didn't even find it at all. And if you've seen the film, you probably know what joke I'm on about. I thought some of the CGI visuals, you could definitely tell that's like a green screen or like a blue screen behind them. So yeah, I did definitely take me out of the immersion just a little bit for this film. But I also think a couple of the characters weren't written very well, and I feel like could have been written a bit better. And in terms of the music for this film, there's just too many Guns N' Roses songs. I mean, I do enjoy listening to Guns N' Roses. They are one of my favorite 80s bands, but it's just most of the songs in this film are just Guns N' Roses songs, and I feel like maybe at most have a couple Guns N' Roses songs, but there's about 4 or 5 Guns N' Roses songs, and in my opinion, that's just far too much, because if you don't like Guns N' Roses, then you're not going to like the soundtrack for this film. It's not really a problem for me, because I really, really like Guns N' Roses, but for people that aren't a fan, it's definitely going to make them lose points in this film. So we'll go ahead and talk about the verdict for this film now. So before we really get to that though, there are 2 end credit scenes, one about 2 minutes into the credits, and one once the credits have concluded. They weren't amazing end credit scenes, but I still thought they were quite enjoyable to see. And I recommend this film to people who like the MCU, and for people who like comedies. Maybe more the jokes might land for you. And I rate this film, I'm in an arm between a 6.5 or a 7, but because I enjoyed this film, um, I found this film enjoyable and fun for most of it. I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. I think it's a good film in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but not one of my favourites, but definitely not one of my least favourites either. So you can let me know your thoughts on Thor Love and Thunder in the comment section below, with no spoilers. As this is a non-spoiler review, if you want to include spoilers, just please mention that there are going to be spoilers in that comment. But that's really all to say here though. Don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, and comment, and I appreciate you for watching. This video, you can let me know what you thought on my review, what things did you agree with, what things did you disagree with. But as long as we're respectful, that's 100% okay with me. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Until then, peace out, stay safe, and ciao.